guys, it's Olivia and welcome back to Live in Literature. Thank you so much for all the love and support I received in my last video, and if you have not seen it yet, feel free to head over to the channel to check it out. Well guys, welcome to the channel. Anyone new here, anyone old here, welcome to Live in Literature. So glad you're all here. If the sleeves of my shirt are distracting, please let me know and I will never wear this top again. I was trying something new. I feel very 70s in this top. But anyways, I am so grateful to have you guys all here with me today for this video. And this video I was not expecting to film today. I had a whole other idea picked out for today, but then I was like, you know what? People have been asking me for quite a long time for this video, and that is, title of today's video, books that have made me ugly cry.
I don't know why, but I'm like gonna cry.
Oh my gosh, why are you gonna cry?
Now, I'm just gonna level with you guys. I'll be honest. Most books make me cry. I'm a very emotional person. I also happen to be PMSing this week. I love being a woman.
I really love being a woman and being a female artist. I do.
So I happen to be on the period PMSing the whole bit. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Am
I right, ladies? She knows what I'm talking about.
So anyways, I'm just a very emotional person in general. Most books will make me tear up, if not like shed a tear or two. Like honestly, like most books will make me cry. And I'll be honest, most books also make me ugly cry. Like, I've been caught ugly crying on this channel many a time, inserting the clips now. But anyways, so I do cry very frequently over books. I feel like the words and the literature and the story make me cry. And I just want to preface that I feel like the recommendations I'm going to make today are all books that would make someone ugly cry. But like, I feel like me specifically, a lot of the reasons why these books I'm recommending to you guys today that made me ugly cry were reasons for like my own personal reasons for experiences that I have had in my life that have made me like the books have been more impactful, which is that goes for anyone who's read anything. Like anyone who has any book that's made some sort of impact on them, it reaches them to a like psychological, like physical level to where it touches your soul and it like speaks to you in a way that it might not speak to someone else. Like books make me ugly cry all the time, but there are a lot of books I'm recommending today. A lot of them fantasy books, maybe not surprising because my bread and butter is fantasy, but like a lot of fantasy books I'm here to recommend to you guys today that have made me ugly cry. But before we get into that, I want to make a quick announcement to say thank you to everyone who entered the giveaway for 700 subscribers. So fun. I'm so glad we did this. And I want to announce our giveaway winner right now. Hey guys, I am here to announce our giveaway winner for the 700 subscriber giveaway. Drum roll, please. Congratulations to Emma Ray for subscribing. Thank you so much, Emma, for your love and support. It is so great to have you be part of the channel. Thank you so much. You'll be receiving 2 books, a book tote of my choosing, and a book boyfriend bookmark as well. As you know, I've already emailed you about your winnings, so congratulations, girl. I will be sending you those books and other little trinkets very, very soon. Thank you again so much for subscribing. You are literally the best. And back to the video. So congratulations to our winner. I am so grateful for you. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel and for being a part of this. I will be sending you your 2 books, a book tote, and your book boyfriend bookmark within a very short amount of time. I've already sent you an email. You know who you are. Congratulations. You totally deserve it. And thank you to everyone who entered. Remember, on this channel, we do a giveaway every 100 subscribers until we reach 1,000. We are so close, guys. I have special plans for the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. It's going to be so fun. So make sure you're all keeping an eye out for that and telling your friends and family to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. But back to the video. So today, we are going over books that made me ugly cry. Again, these recommendations might be out of the box, might be out of character for me, but I hope that you will at least give them a chance if you have not read them, or if you maybe want to give them a try. Maybe you'll enjoy them as much as I did. Who knows? But here are the books that made me ugly cry. Let's get started. The first one might not be a shock to anyone, as is this is probably one of my most recommended books like of the year that came out last year, and that is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Now, guys, if you know the plot of Divine Rivals, you know that this book is a true romance. Like, this is a romantasy. Obviously, we have Iris Winnow and Roman Kitt rival journalists at a company. There's a war going on in the world that they are in. Iris decides to go to the front to write about the war. Roman decides to follow her. They have slowly fallen in love with one another over the course of this book. And I will just say, this book is one that is just like truly romantic. Like, it is truly deeply romantic in that like very old-fashioned like 1940s kind of way that only happens like once in a lifetime, and it's special and it's true and it's beautiful. This book just means like an absolute lot to me because of the like true romance of it. I think it is very sweet. I think it's very tender, and I think any plot point where like two lovers are like writing letters to one another like over distance is like a beautiful thing, and they're like unknown lovers to one another at first, and then they become known, and it's really romantic. And I will be honest, like, it really was the last page of this book that had me like breaking into heaving sobs because of the way that this book ends. It's truly like criminal. It hurts your feelings. This book is like both fun, it's easy to read, it's fast, it's beautifully written. And I will be honest, the ending of the first book will break your heart a little bit. It definitely broke mine, and I cried buckets reading this book. The next one I want to talk about is kind of two books similar, or two book series, but like I guess it kind of is like one as a whole. This is going to come as no shock to anyone. I'm talking about SJM, I'm talking about Throne of Glass, I'm talking about Crescent City, and I'm even talking about ACOTAR. But first, let's talk Throne. So Throne of Glass, okay. It is no surprise that Throne of Glass is my favorite fantasy series of all time. It's also no surprise that my favorite of the series is Empire of Storms. My current copy of Empire of Storms is on loan to someone else, and she's about to have a mental breakdown when she gets to the end of that book because that book broke me, okay? I don't think any book has ever broken me more than reading Empire of Storms, and I wish I had the footage of when I read Empire of Storms. I wish that there had been a fly on the wall and a camera watching me as I finished the ending of Empire of Storms, because I don't think any other book has broken me that much. Like, broken me deeply as a person. Like, cracked me in half and broke me as a human being. Like,
I was wondering what would break first. Your spirit? Or your body?
first of all, the ending of Empire of Storms is one of the most illegal, criminal, disgusting, sick pieces of literature that's ever been written. And yet it is my favorite book. So make that make sense. Let's also not forget about the absolute perfection that is Kingdom of Ash, which is the last book in the series. Kingdom of Ash, the ending and like the whole bit of that book, the whole culmination of everything coming together, like everyone's figuring their things out, like the war is ending, but like people are fighting for their lives. We are losing people, we're losing friends, we're losing allies, like people are making discoveries. It is tumultuous, it is emotional, it is soul rocking. Like, to say that the entirety of Throne of Glass changed me as a person would be an understatement. It has changed the entire course of my life after reading that book, and I have been broken up as a person reading that. And I could say the same for any of Sarah's books, especially, I would also say Crescent City, book 1, honestly 1, 2, and 3 made me sob, but book 1 especially. And I will say for me, the reason why Crescent City book 1 holds such a special place in my heart for like why it made me so upset to read it was because of the friendship. The friendship between, which, by the way, if you don't know what Crescent City 1's about, obviously it's an urban fantasy about Bryce Quinlan, who is half fae, half human. She is best friends with a shifter werewolf named Danica, who's the leader of a pack. Something terrible happens to Danica one day, and essentially Bryce's life changes forever. She's paired up a couple of years later with an angel policeman, basically, named Hunt Athalar, and Hunt and Bryce basically have to work together to figure out like what happened to Danica, and also like the criminal undergoings of like what was going on in that time period, and like how they're gonna be able to help the city move forward. Okay, so it's kind of like a murder mystery kind of deal, but it's also a romance. And I will say that nothing meant more to me than the friendship of this book. The friendship between Bryce and Danica, the friendship that grew between Bryce and Hunt, and like the overcoming of trauma and the overcoming of like essentially that like friendships last forever. They last into the ether, into the eons, into the whatever you believe in afterwards. Like, it meant the most to me to read this book. Like, I was in dry heaving, like I'm gonna vomit kind of sobbing over this book. Like, it seriously, like, it wrecked me because it was so beautiful and so poignant and so, like, it just touched my soul in places because of the friendship between Bryce and Hunt, and between Bryce and Danica especially. Like the friendship between these two girls just like, oh, my heart just soars. And seriously, like if you want a book to make you ugly cry, like I think this is one of them. Like this book made me ugly cry throughout the whole thing. Sobbing, heaving, crying. I freaking love this book though. Okay, next moving on to one of my most favorite authors of all time who I talk about frequently. And this is going to come to no shock to anyone. It's Amy Harmon. And I have two recommendations from her. We have The Songbook of Benny Lament by Amy Harmon, which is a historical fiction. And then we have The Second Blind Son, which is actually a fantasy that Amy Harmon has written. Now, if you know anything about me, is that I love Amy Harmon. And I'll be honest, every single one of her books makes me cry, okay?
Are you crying?
No.
Are you crying? Are you crying?
Every single one without fail. Okay? And it might just because I'm an emotional person. But I think it's also because of the way that she writes the stories. Now, Songbook of Benny Lament, I will be honest, my favorite book that Amy Harmon's ever written, I have to be full disclosure, is, can I grab it? Yeah, I'm just gonna reach over. Come here, baby. My favorite book that she's ever written is Where the Lost Wander, okay? This book made me, like, I'm talking, like, sobbing uncontrollably, like I'm gonna puke, like I was up till 3 a.m, crying my eyes out reading this. This is probably my favorite book I've ever read in my entire life. I have disclosed this, but I want to talk about her other stuff. So The Songbook of Benny Lament is a historical fiction taking place in the 1960s. Benny is a like pianist and a singer-songwriter kind of deal. He doesn't really sing, but he mostly songwrites for people. And Esther Mine is a young Black woman in the 1960s with a band, and they essentially enlist this white man Benny to like write songs for them and to like be their band manager in this time where like blacks and whites didn't sing on stage together. They weren't like coexisting. You know, obviously this is all going on during the civil rights movement. This also has a lot to do with the mafia in Chicago and in New York during that time in the 1960s and like what you'll do for family in a way. And this one meant so much to me because not only was it like a discussion on just having like obviously like anti-racism and like love for everyone, but this was also a discussion of like family and of like grief and what you do when you lose your family, and also like creating a new family and like how do you protect them and how do you keep them safe. This book made me literally ugly cry. Like it's one of the sweetest romances of all time between Esther and Benny. Like it is a very sweet, gorgeous, kind romance. It's another one of those like old-timey ones that kind of gives the same vibes as Divine Rivals, but this one actually takes place in like the 1960s. It's just very like tender, and like it has so many moments that like just speak volumes to me of like who these people are, like who Benny is as a person, and like the kind of like person that I want to have in my life. Made me cry buckets. Like it's truly like so beautiful, and it's a great story to read if you're looking for historical fiction. I even think it would be a nice little cozy fall book to read because it's all about like music and jazz, and it's all about singing and like the way that it brings people together, and like I don't know, I just like love this one. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. And then along with that, we have Amy Harmon's fantasy. Now, Amy Harmon has the first book in this fantasy series called The First Girl Child. So essentially, the fantasy world that Amy Harmon has created, she is this fantasy world called Salok. It's a like Norse mythology inspired place, but Salok is an island. The First Girl Child is the first book in this series. Each of these books is almost like a standalone though, but you do need to read them, like you need to read them to understand what's going on like in the world. But The First Girl Child was great. I loved it. It was a lot of like, it was kind of a like coming of age novel because like you watch the main character like grow up essentially and become a woman, and then like you saw like the romance aspects of that, like womanhood and whatever. And there's a lot of other like aspects of the book in this like Norse mythology like island. It's a lot of like superstition. It's a lot of like witchy kind of magic. It's very like mysterious vibes. I would even read this during like the fall time because it's very atmospheric. But The Second Blind Son, oh my gosh. So essentially the plot of this one, it's about a young woman is washed up like on the shores of Salok on this island, and her name's Gisela, and she washes up on the shore, and a young boy finds her like around her age who lives in a cave, and he's exiled to this cave because he's blind and he can't see. And so Gisela and Hod he basically like brings her back from death and like brings her back to life. And like the whole moral of this book and like why it made me so emotional to read it was just basically like to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Like Yishla's whole life is so like sad and tumultuous. She's constantly running from things, and she's also constantly just being like entrapped by these like power hungry men who like want to use her and her like abilities essentially. Hod is the only one who doesn't use her. He like is the only one who just like savors his time with her, and he's very sweet and kind, but also like has been like exiled by society. It's a very much of like two misfits like getting together, and essentially like Hod and Gisela over the years just have to like are like competing with time and distance and the fact that they can't communicate with one another very well, and like how they're never going to be separated by those things again once they're reunited. It's very like all about like, and Gisela, like I was saying, is like her whole life is just one giant struggle. Like men are trying to use her for her powers, like use her for their own gain and for her own greed, and she's just so sick of being used all the time and for running and for being scared all the time. And so a lot of the time she talks about how depressed and sad she is, and she's a very like quiet, like simple soul, and like a very like melancholy kind of person. And I just like loved reading about her because she just talks all the time about like, you know, she was on the brink of death and Hod brought her back, and like she just talks about how every day is like always like just putting one foot in front of the other. Like, will you stay today? He always is like, and she's like, yeah, I'll stay one more day, or like I'll be here one more day, or like I'm just gonna keep going one more day. And it's all about just like extending your life, and for like eventually is going to be about living and for living for yourself. But in this time where she's just like in this struggle, it's all about just like putting one foot in front of the other and just continuing on for one more day. I just have to take one more step, and I just have to keep going one more time, and then I'll decide what I want to do. And so I just really love this story. It was really impactful. It was very emotional. I highly recommend the duology. So far it's a duology. I think there could be a third book, ? There was talk of it. I don't know if it's actually going to happen. Amy Harmon, let me know. But the first Girl Child is the first one. This is the second one. The second one for me, I just feel like it was a way more impactful for me, and it hit me in like a totally different way. Highly recommend both of these. These are definitely like high fantasy books. They're definitely not like easy reading, but like I would recommend them because they're really, really good. And this one made me just absolutely sob because of the messaging. Now, I want to get into what I've been most recently reading. And full disclosure and disclaimer, as I mentioned previously, I am a little bit emotional this week, as we know why. I don't need to repeat myself. I'm a little bit emotional this week, okay?
Quite the charmer, aren't you?
And so I've just been wanting to read just like silly little things. Like I haven't really been wanting to like read anything too hard to read. So as I mentioned in my last video, my last read I was reading was Duet of the Siren Duke. I read Elise Kova's, I had to finish the Married to Magic 5-book series, so I read A Dawn with the Wolf King, okay? I read both. I finally have finished the Married to Magic standalone series. It was lovely. Thank you, Elise Kova. You're fabulous. And no matter what anyone says, okay? I love you. But, okay, so I have to love it with you because I read both of these books. And I gotta be honest, both of them made me ugly cry. Like, ugly cry. Like, insert the photos. Like, I literally, like, I didn't expect to get so freaking emotional over both of these books, and yet both of them made me ugly cry. And I was saving these books to the end because really for me, it wasn't about the writing and it wasn't about the characters. It was about the story that she was telling. In this one, A Duet with the Siren Duke, essentially a young woman is escaping an abusive marriage where she, like, you know, she's escaping an abusive marriage. She's running away from an island. She ends up drowning, and a young Duke merman finds her, and he basically is like, I'll grant you 5 more years of life, but when I come back, like, I need you to come with me. So then she lives, she reclaims her life, but like she's still kind of being chased by her ex, and there's all these other like things going on. She owes her ex money, but then Ilrith, the merman who rescued her, comes for her like 6 months early in their agreement. He's like, but I need you now. And she's like, you came 6 months early. And so essentially this book, like the main through line plot of this is all about like, I love this woman. Victoria is amazing. She's constantly talking about not being trapped and not being trapped by her circumstances. And everyone just keeps trying to trap her. And the whole time you just feel so bad for her because you're just like, will everyone just leave her the frick alone? Like just leave her alone and let her live her life. But the biggest like story for me about this, why I think it made me cry so much, was because she just wants her freedom so badly, and she's always like living for other people's expectations and living for other people and taking care of other people. And she finally does something selfish for herself. She chooses Ilrith, obviously the hot merman. Hello. And they just finally like choose each other. And it's so unbelievably romantic, and they're them getting to choose each other like over and over again just like made me cry. I just like wanted to sob because, like, to be honest, I've been her where I've been trapped in a situation that I didn't want to be in. And when you finally get that freedom and like the feeling it gives you is so good. Like, it feels so good. And like, I just related to her so much, her fieriness and her like angst for life, and she just like kind of spoke to me in a way that I didn't expect. I don't know why the story hit me so hard. And then of course there's this whole other aspect that I can't even talk about because I don't want to spoil the book. There's another aspect of the book that made me ugly cry, because it's one of those tropes that like I hate, but it was done so well in this book. It's the amnesia and or forgetting trope. I'm not going to explain further, okay? I don't want to spoil things, but like that spoke volumes to me, and it made me just like, oh my gosh, I just was like so emotional reading this book, like in a really weird way that I didn't realize it was gonna hit me that way. And then of course we have Dawn with the Wolf King, which this one is about a young witch who essentially like helps this like moon spirit out in the woods one night when she's running away from the Wolf King and his like sentries and whatever. And she essentially is trying to like reclaim her power, but the witch tries to help her, but essentially like the moon spirit's power gets split and half of it goes into this witch named what's her name, why am I forgetting, Phelan, and half the power goes into Phelan and half the power is in Aurora, the moon spirit. And so they end up getting captured by the Wolf King's like knights. There's 2 knights. One of the wolf knights is Evander, and I love him, and he basically has been like kind of rebelling against the Wolf King his entire life. He doesn't believe in the Wolf King and like in his like methods and the way the Wolf King uses his methods to manipulate people and things like that. Anyways, so the premise is that the young witch is essentially betrothed to the Wolf King, and Evander is the sworn knight and protector to protect her in all things, but they end up starting to fall for each other. This one, for me, the more thing that kind of got to me and why I was like ugly crying was more for the fact okay, I want to know if I'm the only person who's ever experienced this. Has anyone ever cried because you want something so bad? Have you ever cried for want? For want?
Look around, Ted. You're all alone.
For hunger? Have you ever cried because you want something so badly? I just want what they have. I want what Evander and Phelan have. I want this, like, I just want to be like, okay, this is gonna sound so sad, but just like roll with me, okay? I just want to be loved the way that this stupid alpha werewolf loves her. Like, I know it's stupid, I know it's kitschy, and I know that it's all just like romantasy nonsense, okay? I know. But like, I have never cried for want like so much. Like, I have before in other books, but like this is my most recent one, and so I figured I'd recommend it to you. I cried for want because I wanted what these people had, and I wanted to like I want to like experience what they're experiencing. It made me so sad because I'm like, I'm never gonna get to experience this because werewolves don't exist, okay? They don't exist. Shocker, I know. Like,
This is so stupid!
I'm humiliated even talking about this, but like I cried for want when I read this one, of like wanting what they have and like wanting to like wanting their relationship. It just like made me like so sad to read it because I was like, man, I want what they have. And I know I'm PMSing, okay? And that's probably why one of Elise Copa's books made me stupid ugly cry, okay? I know that's probably the reason, but I figured I'd rather be honest with you and just tell you exactly how I was feeling. So yes, A Dawn with the Wolf King, it got me, okay? And I'll be honest, like, A Duet with the Siren Duke, like, this one, like, really got me. Like, I'm talking, like, it really got me for a real one. I think this one was, like, a 4.5 stars for me. This one was, like, a 4. Like, this one, like, I don't know what was in this book. There was crack in this book. Like, it made me, like, literally have a mental breakdown, but in, like, a really good way. So I recommend both of these highly. So that is all the books that made me ugly cry that I have to recommend for you guys today. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Live in Literature YouTube channel. Again, thank you so much to our giveaway winner. I'm so excited for all the people who have subscribed to this channel recently. Thank you guys so much for anyone who entered the giveaway. There will be another one when we reach 800 subscribers. Woo woo, it's gonna be so fun. I'm so excited. But again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.